John, I can't share. Says sharing is not turned on. Am I not supposed to host? It doesn't seem like to me that it's completely on host. Make me co-host. Yes, I'm sharing now. It's 6 o'clock. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. And thank you once again for making it to this week's session. It's always a pleasure to be here, even though sometimes it's like walking through the needle to be able to get here. So just before I get too much into this, let me just quickly update my WhatsApp status that we have live. I think I've done that we have started. Yes. So thank you very much for being here. T-Mac is my name, and the program that you are on is called HeyCoach. HeyCoach is our program that we put together. I think we're running it now, going to 2 years plus. Yeah, we've done 2 years now. We're in the third. And like the name suggests, HeyCoach was a product that we put together in response to all the different demands for coaching, because we do not believe that everything has to be about money. So HeyCoach was a program put together to provide coaching services for free for the professionals on the go. And in addition to the conventional coaching arrangement where you have a coach and the coachee, this also has an extra element of crowdsourcing ideas, which is why we have approached it this way, such that anybody can always ask a question on our different platforms. And if you don't want to ask directly, you can ask one of the admins who can then repost your point so that you can hear what others' experiences has been along those lines, and so that you can learn and you will not be making the same mistake. So once again, you are highly welcome. Now, from what I've said already, you should be aware that this is not necessarily a training. It is more around knowledge sharing, and it's a mix of presentations and conversations. So what we will then be doing will be to take a topic typically and then tease it out and then engage around it, share experiences, and then everybody can move on, hopefully, and become better at what they are doing. And we are hoping that as we get bigger, there will be more people who will be interested in being a part of the kitchen staff or the back room of the program. You are all invited. Let's take it to the next level. When I hear and I see the kind of struggles that professionals go through, whether they are entrepreneurs or they are employees, I just wish there is a way we could reach more people than we are currently doing. So if you have any idea as to how we could reach more people, like I've said, it's not about the money, then please engage and let's leverage on your expertise to take us there. And should you need to contribute to any conversation, As much as possible, let's keep it short, sweet, and brief so that we could take as many as possible as we drive and see how in our little corner we can make the world a better place, one man at a time, one community at a time. So, the focus for this month is a topic that we started last week, and it's a topic that is now is currently a very buzzword everywhere you go. There is always something being said about it, and the question is, beyond the buzz, beyond the hype, beyond it appearing as the menu for the day, what else is there to this concept? How can we master it? What do we need to know? How do we get ready? If you missed last month's episode, I sincerely invite and encourage you to please go and check it out because it was really, really very interesting, very exciting. So as we focus on AI, last month, we tried to lay a foundation, and I will try to do a quick recap before we focus on what we are dealing with this month, okay? So, but like you will know if you've been here for a while, that we always try to have something philosophical that captures the essence of what we're saying. And as you hear about AI, the biggest thing that I see is the lack of knowledge and the fact and the impact of that lack of knowledge on how people are relating with that concept. A lot of people are just hiding their heads in the sand, pretending like, well, it's just one of those things. Some people are genuinely afraid. Some are excited, even though it's out of ignorance and they do not even understand the dimension and the ramifications of what is coming. But wherever you are in that spectrum, the real thing is to know that the last thing you want to do is to let the conversations around AI be dominated by fear for you. That's the last thing you want to see happen. You want to do your best to ensure that you don't just become a passenger in this journey, but that you are intentional with how you engage it, because the same way the internet has redefined a lot of things. If you listen to last month's episode, we spoke about how AI could even change the concept of death. And I kid you not, I invite you to watch that program, that particular episode, because the way it is going, the way we know death may no longer be the way it's going to be in another 10, 15 years. I mean, take as an example, my mom died, I think about 2 years ago. But before she died, because she was 91, before she died, we had the privilege of doing a lot of recordings. And sometimes I just wonder how it was before technology. So even though she's late, there were clips from the dining, clips from birthday, clips from this, that sometimes when you play, it's like she's just gone to the next house and she's going to be on her way back. AI takes that conversation to a completely different new level. So it is not something you want to relate with from a point of fear, because there's a lot of possibility in this thing called AI. And therefore, before we get into the concept, into the focus for this week, I just thought it good to do a quick recap of what the module 1 was all about. And the starting point, no better place than to even put this word apart and say AI. If you want to read ABC, I is not the letter after A. So what is AI? In unpacking it, I will start from the I. I speaks to the word intelligence, and there are different definitions of that word, but these three fascinate me, and they are the ones I will readily use. The first speaks about being able to acquire one and apply. And I want you to pay attention as I just do a quick recap before I focus on this week's episode. Ability to acquire one and then to apply. So it is not just about knowing, it's about being able to use, ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills, as well as another one that speaks about having the ability, the capacity for logic to think in a particular sequence, to understand. And this is where it gets very interesting. For self-awareness, for learning, AI now has the ability to demonstrate and show emotions, to show reasoning, ability to adapt. Before now, computing was very exciting because if you give it a rigid code and you tell it what it needs to do, take this, add it to that, multiply it by this, then raise power of n, and then take this from it. Once you are clear about the sequence of instruction, the computing capacity will carry it out. But what AI has done is, with AI, and I will get to how, with AI, you are able to feed it tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of data, and then give it a task, and then ask it to figure it out himself. And that is what makes it a bit scary, because there are still so many rough edges in this AI conversation that still needs to be well explored and taken care of. All right. Now, having explored intelligence, can we then move on to look at what artificial represents? When we speak about artificial, we are saying something that was produced by humans. So there is a natural, once you hear artificial, the meaning is that there is a natural occurrence, but this one that is being spoken about is not occurring naturally. This one that we are talking about is man-made, artificial lake, artificial skating rink, artificial tooth, artificial this, artificial that. It means there is a natural, but man has been able to create its own version. Okay? And that definition is what is of interest to me. So if you put the two together, therefore, what you are talking about is the ability of the machine that man has created to act in a manner like it can think, it can reason, it has logic, it has emotion, it has self-awareness, and learn. And I said it last week that artificial intelligence is typically creating another type of being. You have animals, you have human beings. I'm a Christian, you have celestial beings. There is a lot of thinking that even under the water, there are beings. But now computing is creating another type of being that can learn. And I will show you in a bit. It is not an independent being, but it is trainable, which is where the T is coming from in GPT, and I'll get to it in a minute. It is trainable. And the P is the pre-trainable. It is trainable. The T is for transform or transformer. But the P speaks to pre-trainable, meaning if you are able to train it, then it is able to do what you want it to do. And that is where artificial intelligence is coming from. I'm not going to spend so much time on this. If you want to get the full load, please go to last month's episode and watch. But what this is just saying is that as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, the biggest issue is about how are you approaching it? Are you approaching it with fear? Are you approaching it with confidence? Do you have that belief in yourself that this will be something, it will not be any different from learning how to use a mobile phone. It will not be any different from learning how to use a PC, that it is something you can learn, something you can master, something you can grow, something you can benefit from, because whatever we don't understand, whatever we are afraid of, we run away from it. Unfortunately, there is no getting away from artificial intelligence. There is a slide I'm going to end this with, and I will just keep it until then. So, therefore, like I've said, it's about machine having the capacity to behave like human being, and one of the most popular version of artificial intelligence is ChatGPT. And like I was saying, the P is for pre-trainable, and that is what makes it powerful. It means that you can train it, and once you train it, then it can generate and transform data and give you insight in ways that you will never believe. You just need to try these things out. If you watch last month's episode, I gave an instance of how it compares now between, how it compares between before AI and now, when you think of even something as simple as running a research or creating something or working on an academic thesis or something like that. So it's extremely interesting. Now, having laid that foundation, this week, what we are trying to do is to again go deeper in the journey to say we have explored the concept of artificial intelligence. We have an idea of what it is, how it functions, how it works. What we are focusing on this week, therefore, is how do we take out the gun? How do we take out the bullet from the gun? How do we make it less scary? How do we make it more approachable? The focus is on what are the real facts around artificial intelligence? What are the myths? Because between the myths and the fact, you have a lot of discouragement. You have a lot of feeling overpowered. You have a lot of feeling overwhelmed. So the whole essence of this is to give you some clarifications that empowers you to approach artificial intelligence with excitement, not even with caution, not even without fear, but with a lot of excitement, knowing that it's an open field, it's new. There is nobody that can boast and beat his chest like he's 1,000 years ahead of everybody else. We are all in this game. The only problem will be if you don't join this train while it is still hobbling along. When it picks up momentum and is going at 200 kilometers per hour or 1,000 kilometers per hour, it will be too late for you to join the train. That's all. So the whole why of focusing on the facts and the myths is to ensure that if you have any fear, if you have any concern, if you feel overwhelmed about it, we hope that with this session, we help you to take away the fear, we help you to remove the gun from the bullet from the gun, and you are now able to engage it more confidently so that AI will benefit you. So let's just focus on a few myths. It should be a very short session today. Let's focus on a few myths and facts, hoping that by illuminating them, you will be stronger and more confident to engage. The first is, and I hope this resounds or resonates with most people, is that AI is going to replace all human workers. Machine will just do everything. If you focus on the definition of if you focused on GPT in full, when you write GPT in full, you'll notice that it is pre-trainable. The implication of that is that somebody has to train it. So right now, the core of artificial intelligence is the accessing of all the data that could be found anywhere on the web, tons and tons of them, and then running the computer algorithm through them to build up the pattern and know how to recognize patterns, and then based on those patterns, solve new problems. So The fact that it will one day grow and then it will replace all human workers is a myth. However, like every major bus stop in the journey of technology, some jobs will be lost. Some way of life will be negatively affected. Some patterns will be disrupted. Let's go back to when man was still moving by caravans. There is a reason why the engine of a car is measured in horsepower, because before the car were horses, and the faster you want to go, the more the number of horses that you have to attach to the caravan. Now, imagine if in the design of the caravan, or sorry, the design of the car, what they were trying to do was to build faster caravans. Like, I'm sure you get the gist. We probably will still be probably would never have been able to even cross the sea or go anywhere, go from one continent to the other, unless you are going by boat. But because there was a disruption, with that disruption, all those who were racing horses, all those who were training horses, all those who were building the carriages, all those who were building the wheels the way it was at that time, they became jobless, because it completely jumped and moved into vehicles the way we know it and became completely mechanical. Now, think again of what it was when we were writing, and all they would do was to, I don't know whether you have seen the old printing press. The letters are actually like individual letters, like these children toys, and they would take it one by one and set it for it to print. Then, interestingly, I'm now an old man. There is this thing, I think was called stylus. Stencil. And then a machine came along that they call stencil. It came with the typewriter. So you type on it, and then when you lay it on something like a drum and you put ink in it, you can actually produce so many copies of the same stencil before it becomes old. And then anybody who knew how to use typewriter was a big person, was very skilled, would get a job. And then PCs came. And then a lot of jobs were lost, because when I was still, at a point in my career, I had a secretary, and the person will wait on you and type. Computers came and changed all of that. So AI coming is going to change a lot of things. Anything that is repetitive, anything that follows very clear, limited amount of logic, even the complex ones are now being taken care of. Imagine autonomous vehicles. So that tells you that, yes, there will be disruptions, but it is not AI, and I need to listen to this very carefully, please. It is not AI that is going to take the jobs. We are still going to talk about this in future episodes. It is those who are familiar and are comfortable with AI that are going to take the jobs. And instead of AI replacing human, AI is going to complement humans. It will now make those who are embracing it, who are learning it, who are developing themselves to be able to do more. Because all of a sudden, the human worker will get relieved of all the boring, repetitive, data entry, monotonous activities. Which is why, as we get to it in the next episode, people who have developed their ability to solve problems, creative thinking, innovative thinking, people who can envision, the visionaries, those who can create new possibilities, they will now be in huge demand, because all of a sudden, if you are not able to operate at that level, Nobody will require the employee purely because he occupies some space and does some repetitive tasks. A lot of those tasks will be taken care of. So, but it is good to know that it is not envisaged, and it is, if it is truly a pre-trainable, then it means something has to train it. And when you look at how it has evolved so far, I work with an organization that's into agriculture produce buying. And because they have to go many layers into the farm before they can get their produce, a big part of their of the threat to their business was the ability to buy the right quality of product at the right price. And how did they solve that problem? They went and built artificial intelligence around their procurement process. So anywhere they could find a picture of paddy rice, of hibiscus flower, of anything that were buying, they were just training the PC. It is now so well trained that wherever you are in that chain, you have a produce, you take a picture and you run it through that model, it will tell you the grade, and that grade will lead you to the current price. And they've been able to minimize their exposure because of this training, which is the difference that artificial intelligence is going to build. And therefore, your focus should not be on the fear of, oh, am I supposed to go and hide or look for how to stow away on Elon Musk craft that is going to the moon or going to Mars? No, it will be more of an augmentation. It will be more of a complement than a replacement. The point, therefore, is, are you ready to release yourself, to embrace it, and to be one of the early adopters so that instead of being threatened by it, you facilitate it? Yeah? Okay. The second myth around artificial intelligence is that, oh, it's only for the tech experts, it's only for the techies, for the geeks. And for us, we do not have anything to do with it, and we are completely helpless. We just wait and pray that you will not sweep us away. No, that's not what it is. That is not what it is. I know many people who are working in this place who do not write a line of code. Artificial intelligence is a tool. It can be applied into different verticals. It's applied in education, it's applied in health, it's applied in transportation, it's applied in agri, like I mentioned. It is domain agnostic. It is completely up to the individual. I mean, from simple things like putting writing an essay, putting a proposal together, to designing images, to editing videos, to voicing over content, to even driving a car, flying a plane. The spectrum is extremely wide. So it is not just about the techies. And in these days where there is nothing you want to do that you will not find somebody that is willing to teach you online, many times for free, then there are no barriers. In the next episode, we will be going into the domain of employment and the domain of entrepreneurship, particularly in the developing world, to set the tone on how we can be part of the early adopters of artificial intelligence. Okay, so it is not just for the techies. It is not just for the techies. As we will be landing into this episode, it is for you to find how you can incorporate, how you can include artificial intelligence in your domain, in your expertise. Maybe some things are already moving. Maybe it's up to you to even be the change agent that is going to cause some things to move. Completely up to you. But the only thing you cannot do is to play the ostrich and pretend like, no, it has nothing to do with you. That will not solve your problem. So it is not just for techies. It is for everybody because there is no running away from it. Everybody is going to be affected. Okay, now that's myth number 2. Myth number 3 is to also speak to those who are over-reliant on artificial intelligence. One of the things that makes this conversation very apt at this time is that this is a field that is in its nascent days. It is just starting. And because it's just starting, there are so many things that are still going on there that are not perfect. Imagine that AI can cite, you want to write an academic thesis, it will cite authors that do not exist. It will cite content and researches that do not exist. It will give you dates that has no relevance to what you're doing because it is not infallible. And that is why one of the warnings of AI is to be sure that AI, you don't end up getting used by AI. So the question is, are you going to use AI or AI is going to use you? That's the question we need to answer. But AI is not infallible. AI can make mistakes. AI can tell you that the chicken is given birth to by a goat or by a hen. So it's up to you to know how to validate what you are looking for and how to ensure that you work with it. Because it is pre-trained, if it is trained with a bias, that bias is what is going to carry forward. If it is trained with objectivity, that objectivity is what is going to try to replicate. It is just a machine. It is pre-trained. Chat generative pre-trained transformer, chat GPT. The pre-training is the key. You need to ensure that the training, that the version or the model that you are using, you need to be sure of the bias so that you don't run into trouble. That's why there's been a lot of debate around DeepSeek. Which one is better? DeepSeek, ChatGPT, they're the same. It's about how they've been trained. Their training is what determines what they give to you, and it's up to you and I to be intentional in ensuring that we do not get confused by the answers that we have. And then there is this talk about one day AI is going to take over the world, is going to kill everybody, is going to just become completely autonomous. Nobody can say for sure if that is right or wrong, but the likelihood is still very remote, again, because whatever it is doing is based on pre-training. It cannot all of a sudden run in a manner that there will be no handle for the human to grab it and to control it. It's not impossible, and that's why nobody can say categorically. And there are many possible scenarios where if it's built in a vicious loop, you know, I love watching sci-fi, science fictions, and you get built where you build a machine and then it becomes indestructible. Yeah, it's not impossible, but right now the fears are very limited, and what is giving everybody comfort is that unlike most technologies, this one is getting a lot of attention pretty early. So the hope is there will be some sanity around it, and the dark world will not be allowed to hijack this in a manner that it has no control. But right now, that should even be the least of our fear, because the current process is, how do we get this to work? How do we learn how to make it work? How do we make the most of it? So that is myth number, what now? Number 4. I think I have one more. And the last myth, so that's number 1, 2. Yeah, that's the myth number 4. So in addition to the myths, I just thought to share a few more facts, okay? Like I said last week or last month, AI is not necessarily new. Your predictive text, your Siri, and the likes, they have been the precursor. They have all been artificial intelligence. They have been the precursor of AI the way we know it now. The difference now is that with these new versions that are running on steroids, it's gone to a completely new level, completely new game. And because it is now running with natural human language, it makes the interaction, the engagement much easier, much faster, less disruptive, and so the possibilities are endless. It therefore means that there are no limits to what you can do with it as long as you can figure out how to get it to learn it. I mean, we just rolled out an app called Screws and Spanners, and we had to put together some videos, and my producer, Mr. Titi Loye, has done some magic with artificial intelligence in terms of creating, because you now start using other people's video, you are running with copyright, you are running with all sorts of violations, or you go online and you use images, there are a lot of issues around it. AI generates images for you. Nobody can ask you, where did you see it from? AI generates content for us for our videos that we mix, and we create some of the videos that we're using to promote the product. So there is absolutely no limits to what you can use it with. It is completely, it is getting more and more widespread. And don't be surprised one day if AI starts to perform surgical operations, because it doesn't have any emotional distraction or anything, just knows how to go in straight, get it done, and get it out. Okay, I've mentioned the productivity gains. It doesn't replace the human, it just now frees them up to be able to do a lot more, which therefore means that the name of this game has to be learning, and I will get to it. Then, because it's about pre-training, how does it learn from data? That's all. AI is just data on steroids. It's just to build patterns and then just use the knowledge from the patterns to solve new problems. That's all. So it is critical, therefore, for you. I'll get to that next month. If you have any business or you're an employee anywhere, data. That's the bread and butter that feeds artificial intelligence. So the more of it you can generate in a manner that it can use, the better for the pre-training that we're talking about. And if you can get that to happen, the possibilities are endless. Like I've said, in different sectors and different spheres of our lives and of the economy. So as I start to approach the tarmac, and I've gotten clearance to land, the question then is, if we have been focusing on artificial intelligence for the last 2 months and we have seen what we have seen, what should we be doing? Like I said when I started, the whole essence of this myth and fact is to just make it easy, not necessarily easier, but just to make it easy for everybody to benefit from the AI movement that is already building up on the world. And how do you achieve that? Is by learning. I know many people who were shocked and their lives were completely disrupted because they did not see computers coming. The arrival of computers wiped out a lot of jobs. Like I was saying, before computers came, every senior person in an organization used to have an assistant. I don't know when last you saw an admin officer in most organizations. It is very difficult because there was a time when the job of the admin officer was to be collecting letters from post offices. Who remembers that? Yes, there were boxes and there were bags, PMB private mail bags, PO box, post office box. There were people that would go there once or twice every week, collect letters. and start to share. Take this to this person's table, take the other person's table. They were the ones that had keys to the office. They are the first to come to open. They are the last to go to lock. Technology came, access card removes all of that role. Email removes all of the letters that they were writing. Computers made secretaries redundant. Only maybe the CEO, and it is usually not for the secretarial duties that it used to be. AI presents another opportunity. The way to engage this is not from fear. The way to engage it is from courage, is from learning, is from confidence. And I say it again, nobody can terrorize or tyrannize anybody with this. We are all here, it's new, everybody's trying to learn it. So don't stay on the edges, don't stay on the fringes, jump right inside. Learn, okay? Because with learning, you give yourself a fighting chance, not just to know about this, but to be able to use it to your benefit. If you're an employee, there are ways and means by which AI can help you. If you're an employer, there are ways and means by which this can help you. In your social life, in your family life, everywhere you turn, there are ways by which artificial intelligence can help you. So the focus must be on learning and then seeing how it applies to your field. And there are many tools and concepts out there. Like this learn that I'm showing here, you can see so many dots in what look like a simple writing, exactly the same. You need to find the dots, you need to connect them, you need to equip yourself for it, because there is no running away from artificial intelligence. The scientists and those who are pioneering this field believe that that nothing in the evolution and in the progression of the human race will be as impactful as artificial intelligence. There used to be the thought that electricity was one of the most impactful innovations and inventions of all time. But that as impactful, as powerful as it is, the expectation is that artificial intelligence will even be more impactful than that. Just think about that. So there is no running away from it. And therefore, if you cannot run away from it, then you have to face it. It's better to face it and learn it and use it, as against cowering in one corner and just burying our heads in the ground and thinking that it is going to go away. Why? Because there are three types of people in this world. People who make things happen. That is the invitation that I've been sending out since last month. There are those who are watching, and there are those when everything is done, they will wonder what happened. Question: which of these three would you like to fall in? Which of these three categories would you like to be? You want to join those that make things happen? You want to stay where you are and just be watching? Or some are even completely oblivious of what's going on now, and then one day they will wonder, how did this happen? It's a matter of choice. It's a matter of preferences. But what we have been doing is to let you know that you can be a part of those who make things happen. And how? Learn. Embrace it. Let's work on this journey together. I think we have like 2 more modules to land this particular series. And I sincerely hope that it has been useful for you so far. So that would be my landing. My tire just touched the tarmac, and I'm now taxiing to go to the hangar to go and park. So before then, the floor is open. It's the open mic session of the program. If you have anything to say, please feel free, unmute and share your thoughts. What do you think of AI? Have you experienced it? The content we've shared, how useful has it been? Anything you want to share? This is a crowdsourcing platform. So we always like to hear the individual perspective because nobody knows everything. So please feel free and grab the mic. Just unmute and speak if you're in a quiet place. And if you prefer to type, please go ahead and just send your messages before we eventually get to the hangar and turn off the engine for this flight. You are welcome, everybody. The floor is open.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, please speak up.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yeah, I can hear you.
My name is Olayinka Lunge. I'm an on and off participant of
You
this.
were Olayinka. See yourself. Good
I
evening. How are
almost
you?
forgot today again until I saw your status, and I'm like, okay, this actually tallies with what has been going on in my life currently. So I thought to join, and even though I joined late, I was able to learn one or two things. A few minutes before the class, actually, I was just doing a task that I was given in a class I attended, and it's about using AI in my field. I am a fashion designer, and before now, what I do mostly is maybe get pictures from the internet to share with my clients, or they send me their pictures and then we recreate. But as a designer who wants to, create something very original, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to have the I'm supposed to have the skill of illustration to be able to like bring my ideas to life for them to be able to see it and maybe agree or disagree with it. But unfortunately, because I do not have the time to learn and develop that skill, I have not been able to do it up till now. Until recently, I came across a training, and even though I am not a technology savvy person, but I was just open-minded to go and see what they were doing there. And luckily for me, I came across Copilot, and Copilot is an AI application, and I've been using it since then. And it feels like, where has this thing been all my life? Because what I just do basically now is when someone approaches me and they want to make a design, and I just ask them what they intend to do. Okay, I want a birthday party for my 1 year old. All I just do is go to the application and just give it a prompt. Okay, give me a kid model wearing a purple dress with the bodies being like this, the skirts being like this, the sleeve being like that. Is like the idea is coming from fresh from my brain right now. I'm not trying to copy any other design. And at the end of the day, I get to like have 1, 2, 3 samples to like merge together, send to them. And so far, it's been even me. I've been wowed
Yeah.
by the things
Yeah.
I could do with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, this makes a lot of sense. It came at the right time
Yeah.
at this point in my life. So thank you. And I'm so glad
Yeah.
to be a part of it.
Thank you, Yinka. It's always a pleasure to have you around. Like I said, I mean, we also, by the way, have you registered on Screws and Spanners? I
I
think I've
have
sent
not
it to you.
will. Yes,
Okay.
you have.
I'll
I
send.
will.
Yeah, because when we, like I mentioned in the content, we also, many of the videos that you see us share, a lot of the element that we mix together, thanks to my producer, Mr. Titiloye, comes from artificial intelligence. The pictures, some short videos, because it's tough to get if you don't have money. I mean, it's just transformational. Before now, you have to find money, find camera, find people that want to act for you, then go to location, and then try and cut and shoot and cut and shoot. It doesn't come precise, prim and proper every time. But you have enough, like you said, you can take a little of this. Okay, I'll join this with this, join that with that. And boom, you have something to work with. And it's impressive. It's extremely impressive. One of the exciting example of AI for me, as I'm a very news-centric person. 10, 15 years ago, something is happening. Maybe there is like today now, Newcastle had a parade for winning the Carabao Cup. When you have such, or there's an event going on and they want to cover it from the air, what would they do? They have to go and find a pilot. They have to go and find a plane. They are going to fuel it. They're going to find a cameraman who is brave enough to sit on the edges. And then they're going to go to the aviation authority, because you cannot just put any object up there without flying without filing a flight pattern. It's a whole lot of work. What do you have today? Drone, a 10, 12-year-old can just put a drone up there and cover this thing and beam straight to www.everythingglowingglobal. It's incredible. So the objective of this series is to create excitement as against fear or anxiety, to say, explore it, find it, explore it, find it, see how you can adapt it, see how you can adopt it, use it, because everybody can benefit from it. Thank you from that perspective, Yinka. Thank you very much. Yes, the floor is open. Anybody else? Comments, contributions, anybody? We are taxiing towards the hangar now. Anybody wants to say anything? Yes, Grace.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Grace. So I just want to hit that for the artificial intelligence, it's what I just noticed is that the more you work on it, the more you get familiar with it, the more
Yes.
you have more ideas, and the
Yes.
more you are more competent about it. I have actually been working on it throughout today, and I just saw it and I was like, okay, let me just hop in and see what's going on. So it's actually a good thing if we can really go into it and know more about it. So thank you so much for this idea, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining. So we started last month. I think we have 2 more series because the idea is just to take it in bits and pieces. So we've done myths and facts today. And then next month, the Lord tarrying, we are not going to be doing AI and you, where we will be breaking it down into, I think, 3 broad sections. We want to focus on it as for employees, we want to focus on it for entrepreneurs, and then we want to focus on it for the other parts of our life, social, spiritual, whatever it is. So that is our focus. And in May, we are hopeful to then fly a little lower and then just have a list of the very popular AI tools for the different sectors of the economy or life, and just share that laundry list and then just kind of provide insight as to this one. You want to do this, you can use it for this. You want to do that, you can use this for it. You want to do this, you can use this for it. If there are sites also that afford good training, free training, we intend to share all of that, so that the whole essence is, by the time this series is done, we would like everybody to have found one tool that they have fallen in love with and that they have been able to use to make their life better in one way or the other. That's the whole essence. So leveraging AI is where the rubber meets the road. But if you miss next month, there will be a gap, because the idea is to then situate it for you wherever you are in your journey. We are thinking there may be a need to now have a general question and answer session. We may not, depending on how the May 24th one goes, but this is what we have. So the whole essence is everybody should get excited about artificial intelligence, jump into the train before it moves too fast. And sometimes because we now know what it can do, when there is a need for advocacy around it, you will be more active to participate because you know clearly what you're talking about. So thank you very much for coming around, Grace. Much appreciated. Yes, any other contribution? Any other contribution? Mr. Adediran, are you here or not? Modupe Ogunaike, how are you? Good evening. Yeah, Mr. Adediran, what's up? How is Ibadan?
Ibadan is fine, thank you, sir.
Has it rained today or yesterday?
I can't remember.
Is
But not
your
today.
not today? Okay.
Mm.
Thank you for joining. Yes, Mudupe Ogunaike, are you able to talk? Anything from you before we call it a day or before we call it a month? All right. So we like to continue the conversation. We have our socials, which you can see, but we also have a Telegram group where we afford people the opportunity. Like I said in the beginning, the whole essence of this is coaching support services, free coaching support services for the professionals. That's the whole essence. For you to be able to get coaching on the go without having to be waiting to book appointment. But beyond just getting from one person, we also have the model that crowdsources. So that's exactly what we are doing. So we try to do a lot of that on our Telegram channel. Just a channel where if you have any question, you can either drop it directly or you can drop it with any of the admins who will then drop it so that there can be robust engagement on it. Unfortunately, I am not a social media person, but we shall do the little that we can. So if we are looking for help, those who are social media savvy and they have all the energy for social media, I think there's a lot of people that need to access what we're doing. So if you give it, if you put it on your back and give it if you give it the wings with which to fly, we will be contributing something towards transformation, which is the objective of this group. So, John, you may please just want to drop the link for the Telegram group on the chat before we go. But we're on social, so engage. I'm not very good at it. So those who can do it should please just try to help us. And just my own is to create the content and share the knowledge. When it comes to promoting it and giving it wings, I am not the best person to do it. So anybody who can help with that, please do that so that we can reach more people. So in the absence of anything else, on that note, I'd like to thank you once again for being a part of this program this month. We do this every last Saturday of the month. Every last Saturday of the month, that's when we do this. So we look forward to having you around. John has dropped the links. We look forward to having you around sometime soon, hopefully next month. And please, this recording will be available on YouTube. The one for last month is there. You may want to check it out. And I think we have over 160, going to 170 different videos on different stuff there that should be useful one way or the other. So feel free to check our YouTube page. It is the Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative, just as you have on your screen. Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative. So if you check it out, this video will be there. You can share the link with those who are not able to make it today. You too can go back. Sometimes I go back and just listen on my own too, because it's very enlightening even for me. So just check it out and let's keep this going. Before we go, there was a very quick quiz that will be administered. It takes like 60 seconds or less, just about 1 minute. So please just help complete it. It just gives us some insight as to how we're doing on certain things, and then we know how to do better. So on that note, Ogunaike Mudukwe, I saw your message. Thank you very much for dropping a message. So on that note, I would like to just say thank you to everybody for being here and wishing you the best of the weekend and the best of April, and hoping to see you around next month as we continue our effort in making the world a better place, the little that we can, one man at a time, one community at a time. Thank you very much, and have a very, very, very good week.